imagine a utopia. Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Disgusted with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face. I stood and wait because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. It's a tug of war, battling to keep my sanity. Say no more, say no more. I love you, but I can't keep killing me. I look at myself, I wonder why you don't recognize who you traumatize me. Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Oh, yeah, I've discussed it with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face, a certain weight, because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second game of Meta Week 11. Kicking off, we have Reservoir High School and St. Monica College Epping A going head-to-head for today's matchup. My name is Ewan Iardis Reed. I am joined by Reinhardt, and we are ready to get this show on the road.
I am absolutely ecstatic for this ER with last time, or should I say the first segment we had earlier tonight between Avondale High School and Selwyn was that Avondale had a huge lead. They pretty much controlled the game from start to finish. And I got to highlight just, Barry's son playing as Jax and Yuki playing Master Yi. It was amazing how they both managed to play well for their team. And now coming into the second matchup, we've got, as you said, we've got Reservoir High School, should I say, RHS Varick versus St. Monica. I'm really curious to see how these two teams are going to play off coming into this second round of these matches. I mean, just based on what we've gotten through in the last patch or so, what are your thoughts based on the current updates?
It's a little bit interesting. The biggest role that has the most impact, in my opinion, is the jungle role. I've been saying this for a lot of season 9, and to me, it still rings true. High impact ganking junglers like the Jarvan, like a Gragas, like a Sejuani, that can have impact in the first 15 minutes are the most important junglers in my experience. And even with patches hitting them, I still see those champions as really, really important and something you should be looking at to first pick if that is your team style.
Exactly. I mean, you want to get those first. You want to get those very strong first picks when they're not, they don't appear on the ban bench because they're considerable champions for a reason. They're highlighted. They're highlighters. They're like something that could sort of set your team up with a really good upfront start game, as well as like the majority of the way through. Seeing champions like Kai'Sa not banned away like we saw in the previous game, she was picked up immediately, and same with Jax and a couple of other champions that can be considered comfortable picks based on whoever you play as or whoever you're going up against. I know, as a personal preference, it would be good to try and scout out who the majority member is, or who the majority conflicting member is on the enemy team that would put your team in a very hard spot, whether it be the mid lane or top lane. You try and take away as much as possible. As we've now gone into Champion Select and we have our first set of bans, Atos.
And the Darius taken away as the first ban. It's a solo queue Terra. Sure, a competitive Darius isn't locked in, but at the end of the day, Reinhardt, this isn't competitive. This is meta. So I love to see the Darius ban. It simply also could tell us that there may be a carry in the top lane that does not want to have extended trades.
That is true. We've also got another champion that's sort of made a considerable comeback over the last patch or so since 9.9. Nautilus being an AP champion, banned away on that list. Same with Garen, so we're seeing two top champions taken away from, I assume, is Miles playing in top lane, if they are in ascending order from top to support.
Hopefully they are, but we'll find out. But what we do know is Master Yi taking away, which I got to admit I do love. If a Master Yi gets ahead, it is terrifying. Yuumi is allowed in week 10. It was not week 11, but she is actually taken off the board very early in the pick and ban.
It's nice to see, the new champion's been banned away, so we're not going to see a lot of gameplay coming out from that champion specifically. But what I have noticed is a lot of people seem to play her a little bit as if they just stick on the champion, remain invulnerable. But it's also sort of the downside. It becomes a 2v1 fight instead of 2v2.
Oh my lord.
Now we're going to the first set of champion selections.
So, Mordekaiser was not something I expected to see today, but I must admit, I am very happy to see the champion. I don't think I've seen a Mordekaiser in about 6 months right now, which is an amazing champion to see.
And what's only going to make this even more disastrous, we've got, I believe it's Lagartha, picking on to try and see what she can try and do, see what they can try and do against Zoe taking up that Mordekaiser. I believe Mordekaiser is new rework. The new rework has actually just made itself known on the beta and all along the press release. So it's going to be really keen to see. Well, I'm really keen to see the new Mordekaiser upon release. So for the time being, I'm looking forward to seeing a nostalgic gameplay coming out from Zoid.
Giving us a little bit of a shout out of the Mordekaiser that may not be long for this world. But on the side of St. Monica, grabbing the Annie and the Tryndamere on their side, and champions that you don't exactly see a whole lot of nowadays.
No, and it's nice to see. We're going to see some unconventional gameplay. We're going to see a bit of a unique style towards how these teams are going to conduct in their respective lanes. Lagartha possibly going towards top by the majority. No, sorry, mid lane. We've got Vicini going in top lane. So far we've got Tryndamere taken for top, Nunu picked for jungle, Annie could be a possible flex pick for either Lagartha or even their support, depending on how it comes about in this matchup.
We'll see where they can go. Annie's support was a bit of a staple of Season 3 if you throw your mind back quite a bit away, but we'll see what that is. A mid lane that she could be, but what we do know out of the support is, of course, Reservoir High School support is more than likely going to be the Taric on the bottom lane. Now, that raises the question, where does the Mordekaiser go? Because typically you see Mordekaiser as the quote-unquote AD carry, but I'm not too sure, paired up with a Tarek, how that will end up working out.
Hey, based on his history and his timeline, he can be played in any role. Like, it is a very comfortable flex pick. I've seen him play top quite often. I see him played bottom as either support and ADC. It really comes down to how the team decides to prefer it. Like, so far, we've got the bottom lane duo picked up immediately, highly taking up Lucian, as well as having Tarek to sort of sit in his pocket. You've got Kai'Sa taking on in response to it. You've got Nunu going up against Amumu. Tryndamere versus Mordekaiser. This is just absolutely disastrous. Actually, as I speak, it could be a difference. We might see a Mordekaiser mid lane based on what we've got coming, based on what we're seeing in this matchup. Like, look at these two teams. You've got Aatrox, you've got Tryndamere, Annie, Nunu, and Kai'Sa. And you're just looking at the other side, you've got Amumu to face off against Nunu. Mordekaiser we're unsure of. Vega going up against possibly Aatrox, and just Lucian and Tarek going up against Kai'Sa and Annie by the looks of things.
Well, we'll see what they lock in. It is going to be the Thresh locked in, which means Annie more than likely going to end up in the middle lane. There, Tryndamere going to top Nunu as the jungler. But while Monica, you can kind of work out who is where. Reservoir High School's team is a little bit more unconventional because we're seeing a Veigar and a Mordekaiser, and I still cannot work out if that's Mordekaiser top or Veigar top, and both scare me just a little bit.
I feel as though we're going to get a better impression of these two teams when we get into game, when we see them make their way towards their respective lanes. For the time being, it's like a good idea to sort of get a bit more of a perspective, develop a hypothesis, a theory about what we might see coming out from these two teams based on what we're seeing in this matchup. Like, we've got the champions picked away for the teams. We've also got the bans sort of telling us a bit of a story as to who they think they might be their major contenders. Like, you've got at least two supports taken away, Yuumi and Pyke. You've got an ADC, two very strong top laners, the historic versus combo, Garen versus Darius. They're both sitting on the ban bench, so obviously Lagerthar's not really going to have a good time coming to this matchup, but they feel as though they probably are that Lagerthar is also going to be their major contender. Whereas on the other side, it's sort of a hit and miss. Like, I'm seeing one ADC, a jungle, a mid lane, and possibly two supports. It's a bit more of a spray and pray coming out from SMC that really strikes me as curious, Iatos.
Well, SMC may not have a Twitch, but they have a lot of ways to aim their team. And what I like to see is, in particular, the Annie. Annie is one of these champions that I feel like it's hard to mess up playing Annie. I mean, she's a point-and-click stun if you play it correctly, or an area of effect stun with a ton of damage to boot. So I feel like I have a lot of criticisms recently about some teams not drafting proper engages or drafting what happens if you fall behind, not asking themselves this question. St. Monica or SMC have answered this question. They've got a Flash Annie engaged, Thresh is going to be fishing for death sentences, and Miles Morales on the Nunu should be able to start the fights with the biggest snowball ever if SMC do end up falling behind when we get round to, the 20-30 minute mark.
What has me curious, Iatos, is that Nunu. Last game we saw a Nunu being picked and played in game, but there was a lot of absence coming out from that Nunu. There was minimal upfront engages. They took on Aftershock, so their biggest snowball ever wasn't exactly able to collide as easily as what you might want to anticipate coming out from a champion that can do so well snowballing a lane, almost literal to the pun. And I'm hoping, Miles will give us a better standpoint, a better view on how Nunu is played in, on coming onto Summoner's Rift. You're versing Amumu for starters, so we're going to see two, mid-game champion matchups. Like, they're going to be trying to focus on getting their farm. I might see a bit more of aggression coming out from both as well, mainly because you've got Amumu's Wraps, you've got the biggest snowball ever coming out from Nunu. If I'm seeing Predator coming out from Miles as well, we could see a lot of engage right after he burns those boots. And just looking at the rest of this matchup, like Kai'Sa and Thresh versus Lucian and Tarek, that's just going to be something to behold. Like, I'm really wondering how it's going to work down there, between these two teams, because Tarek can do well to defend as well as be aggressive. Same with Thresh, just that death sentence, as you mentioned earlier. can be a really good engage, but if he doesn't really land it properly, he could really set Left Flamingo behind, and Harley could just sort of like, invest into trying to get ahead as much as possible. Because the minute he does get ahead, it's going to mean like, a lot of pressure for SMC, because looking at how Reservoir, like, looking at their lineup, like Mordekaiser are going in possibly mid lane with Vega as well. Two champions that sort of scale really well and can do well in team fights. Like Mordekaiser, if he gets that damage output, he keeps that passive shield up. You can't really do anything against him. And if he gets that dragon bonus from his ulti, it's disastrous. So I'm really curious to see how Vega and Mordekaiser are going to come into this matchup, because they're two unique champions that we have yet to determine are going to be going mid lane and top lane. Just because, like, yes, we see Mordekaiser play top, but we can also see him play mid. Vega mid lane and more support. But hey, this is meta. This is unconventional. Teams play the way they feel like it, and we could even see like an off meta based series coming in tonight.
I mean, I would expect the Mordekaiser to end up in the middle lane. The reason being that you do want Mordekaiser in somewhat close proximity to the dragon. I mean, his entire, the fact that you can control the dragon, you want him hanging around. So I would like to see the Mordekaiser hanging around the middle lane, but I want to take a quick look at the keystones while we do have a little bit of spare time before we get into this matchup. And the keystone that catches my eye more than anything is Vincent Pro 10 on the Annie is actually running Dark Harvest, which is not a keystone I exactly see a whole lot.
No, definitely not. But then again, if she manages to use it quite a lot, it's going to be really efficient, and like it could really set the tone for her being the upfront engage. Like if she can get someone low enough, she's going to pop it. And if she actually gets killing somebody and they're in the middle of a team fight, she's just going to be popping it left, right, and center. Like the more pops from Dark Harvest, the stronger it gets with each succession, and that could really spell a nice clean cut game for Vicini and the rest of SMC.
We'll have to see if he's able to secure himself those tempo leads, able to grab an early advantage in this game. So another lane I do want to look at is the bottom lane. You mentioned the Lucian and Tarek going up against the Kai'Sa Thresh, and it feels a bit disjointed in terms of like Lucian early game aggressiveness, but then you feel like Tarek is protective almost, not going to synergize too well with the Lucian's aggressive style.
No, exactly, and that's the vibe I'm feeling as well. If Lagertha can get online pretty early for for himself, hit level 6 and go straight in on Leon's face, Mordekaiser is going to be forced to sort of sit back a little bit more and be more defensive. However, it could like work the opposite round if Leon gets ahead first. If he times that ulti perfectly to try and, get Lagertha after he's popped his and sort of diminish any possibility of him being able to heal through that Conqueror, it could really work well for him. But then again, like I said before as well, or I will touch base on again, these junglers are the contributing factor coming into this early game matchup. If they can help their mid, any lane possibly, it could work well for their team. Like bottom lane, I'm feeling we'll probably see more of a wet noodle fight and high noon standoff between the two. While mid lane and top lane, it's going to be more of a battle to see who can control the lane. A Mumu is definitely something that is really good to try and, get in on their face with those wraps. Even if he collects onto a minion, he can still continue trading. Noon, on the other hand, will have a bit more of a troublesome time because it doesn't have that instant gap closer that a Mumu has to offer for his team. I mean, Iatos, looking at these startups, what do you think these win conditions might be for either team?
I look at Monica and I see a Tryndamere, and I think to myself, well, you can never forget the potential split push that Tryndamere can bring to the table. So that is the first one that springs to mind. And then I see their bottom side, I see a Kai'Sa, and I think, well, if you can't win through split pushing, get Kai'Sa ahead, get her accelerated, and then win from there perhaps. So we'll see if that works out for them. But for Reservoir, you can feel actually no, maybe in skirmish on the bottom side of the map. Pokemon taking a lot of damage. Exhaust dropped a flash, forced out of the Thresh super early on.
Oh, just forcing that flash early. Now they're ahead. So now we're seeing Harley and Zoid getting that, getting that home ground advantage. They control the lane. They've pushed it past the enemies like, no man's return zone. They've got it in Kai'Sa and Thresh's territory. I'm liking that they're still trying to maintain somewhat a good level of pressure where they can still access the minions. Oh, another flash. Now
Ooh.
they've lost both flashes.
And that
Zoid,
flash...
go for it, man. Go for it.
I was saying, that flash felt a bit unnecessary, perhaps. While Harley and Zoid are playing aggressive, they don't exactly have the damage to, you know, kill out Flamingo at level 2. They just don't have access to the cooldowns, I don't feel.
No, they do have an aggressive response and a heal, so that could be something we might look out for. Whereas Zoid and Harley, Zoid still got his flash, and Harley's got both abilities ready to go. So I feel as though this could work well in their favor. They do have that control. They're pushing it right up towards turret, really going in left Flamingo's face. Meanwhile, look at these junglers. Like, these junglers are supposed to be the contributing factor in this early game. You've got Omumu clearing out the rest of his camps except for the Golem's bottom. I am seeing the River Scudder going down, a ward in Omumu's jungle, and Annie is just doing well providing a ward in her own bush. They have got a good amount of vision. They are winning this early game vision game. And this could really work well for SMC if they continue to play it in this favor. Like, just look how aggressive they are. Just Lagatha going in on Leon now.
It seems a bit risky, though. He is forced to flash as well. SMC do not like their flashes, it seems, and almost an unnecessary aggression. But it looks like Vinci may be in a little bit of trouble. A lovely stun. Prezi, can he get the bandage shots? Yes, he can, but the snowball coming in. The flash coming out as well. The potential turnaround. Saboteur will be taking lands, but Prezi is as well. The ignite is down. One more hit will do it. There it is coming in. First blood coming out for Vicinity Pro on the Annie.
4 minutes 30, and we finally see some action. Last game, we saw it around 8 to 9 minutes. This time, we're seeing it at half of that point. So now we're going to see Annie coming in line a little bit better. I gotta give credit to her for being able to survive so long, considering she had Vega's wall up as well as Omumu's up frontal assault. Like, he comes in, he gets the tears everywhere. He's trying to unload everything he has into her, and she gets away cleanly. And just Miles coming in to defend, actually turning the fight around, getting that ignite on top of on top of Prexy and getting that first blood. This is really going to work well for Annie.
Yeah, and he's getting us a bit of a tempo lead and multiple Dark Harvest stacks, I believe. Currently sitting on, 2 Dark Harvest stacks for the Annie, which is always nice to grab those early. And a blue buff actually secured from these skirmishes as well. So, not getting punished for the lack of a Doran's Ring with those early souls being stacked up in the mid lane. But I want to drag our attention a little bit to the top side of the map. Tryndamere not exactly having a very fun laning phase, down a significant chunk of CS.
No, you've got that completed blasting one from Ward. He's almost double CS. Actually, I got to put this on a pause. No, actually, no. Might not have to put it on a pause. I actually thought Omumu was going to go in there. Just seeing how, confident he was going into that bush running after Annie. Like, it's interesting that you point that out. Like, Mordekaiser has the early game advantage right now. And, this is just going to get disastrous.
Oh my lord, an all-in level 6 hit first, and that's a solo kill in the mid lane. Now on the bottom side, Flamingo trying to play a bit aggressive. Exhaust is dropped down, however, and now Flamingo trying to do what he can. One more hit will take him out, but Harley gets sniped down by Flamingo. And now Zordal without his AD carry. He's not going to die, but he sure as hell isn't returning the favor.
Oh, I don't think this is it.
No way.
They can't
power dive a Tarek.
He gets away alive. 5 stacks fully hided. One more could have actually been his end, since left Flamingo's passive does even more damage the more health you're missing. Like, I actually felt if they continue to invest in that, they had the flay available to knock him back in, it could have worked well in their favor. But then again, it already did work in their favor. They got Lucian down. They managed to get at least a heal, a flash, and I believe an exhaust in that single fight. They got a kill. And now they're going for an instant drag. We're going to see another fight here.
We are probably going to see another fight. The baby cage landing onto the thresh. A ton of CC coming in. Can he get off the train is the real question. You know he cannot. The primordial damage coming out of the Vigo too much. And now Miles getting clapped on. Has the flash available. Force the flash over the wall. Haley does not have one to follow. But despite winning the fight in the bottom lane, they don't actually end up getting the dragon.
A really surprising turnaround. Just Reservoir really come forth to it. They did lose a Lucian prior to starting that dragon fight. Mumu comes in, tries to contest, keeps him away from it as long as possible. Meanwhile, the dragon is actually still in motion. He hasn't reset his health, and they just completely take that away. And he couldn't help stop anything. Vega finally gets a kill. He's keeping up and Nick with this Annie. We're going to see a nice mid lane battle out between these two players as well. Harley's really coming online for his team. He is behind. He doesn't have a kill, but he's got that Bilgewater Cutlass as well. He's staying ahead in CS. If he can try and stay at least 10 in front, it's going to work well in his favor, just because that kill is not exactly going to mean huge favors for her just yet. Right up until we can see her getting more attack speed, because she's gone for that Tear of the Goddess. She's gone for that Mana Marine. She's going to be putting herself behind only by a little bit at the start until she gets her next item. And I feel as though we're going to see, based on the Tear of the Goddess build, she's going to be opting for the Guinsoo's Rage Blade next.
Ooh, and engage in the middle lane. If Vicinity drops down Tibbers, the baby cage coming up, but I don't think it'll save him. The Ignite burning him down. And I said I love to see Annie, and this is partly why. Mechanically, she's not too complicated, and you can definitely punish people for stepping up too far.
Oh, just, stepping up too far. Look at that. 3 kills. She's flying ahead in CS. She's just, the gap between the two is getting more aggressive. She's finishing, based on her item build, she's going for that Luden's Echo, and that is just going to be even more disastrous. She's popped so many stacks of Dark Harvest already. I feel as though she's already hit that power spike for her team. Meanwhile, look at Pokemon. He's really opting for something. They are forced so far back. They're actually going to begin to lose XP on minions just because of how much they're being aggressive.
And I love the posturing coming out of Pokemon on this Thresh, playing nice and aggressive, and part of the reason is they do have their level 6s, even if they don't realize that Amumu is around the corner. Now they're actually starting a fight where they are outnumbered. They need to disengage fast, but Amumu had the access to the ultimate. A beautiful flash lantern coming out of Pokemon, though, will save Flamingo.
Well, it looks like they're going to be able to claim his badge this time. I'm loving Prexy. He is doing so much action now. Like, he managed to deny Dragon. He's been mid lane a few times. He even helped them try and gain a little bit pressure as Zoid misses the stun. Gets punished hardcore. Oh, this is just too much.
Brexy could be getting in a little bit of trouble, though. The bottom lanes are not collapsing just yet, however, so he should be able to live without too much incidents. But this bottom lane, I was going to say, I'm a little surprised that Pokemon is allowed to posture as much, considering, as you mentioned before, Reinhardt, Flamingo is running for the Tear of the Goddess. He's a little bit weaker than we are expecting him to be with the build path he's opting into.
Yeah, and what's making this worse is Vicini really getting that stun on, forcing Sabertooth to actually sit back. I am really fearful of her being able to actually get those stacks off like that.
Dark Harvest. He has Tibbers, yeah, and he has Tibbers, he has Flash, and he has a solo kill on belt.
Oh, just, you could see that coming a mile away. Just as soon as you see that flash, it was over. Just, that Tibbers is pretty much the end game scenario. Once it's popped, it's pretty much over and your team wins. Meanwhile, look at that.
A lovely double stun. Prexy now has access to Curse of the Sad Mummy. Will he get a priority connection? Yes, he will. A double man stand going to be coming out very shortly. But look at the Kaiser is free onto the backline, just free hitting away, and now the turnaround is going to go. Prexy with the first victim of the fight. No, Morales actually is, as Flamingo diving into the backline, but he can't get the vision onto the priority targets because they didn't take it out.
How did they manage to do that? I don't understand it, Artus. Just they had the upfront assault. Amumu gets his ulti around. He actually gets forced backwards. I'm actually surprised to see they managed to get out of Miles' ulti. He should have popped it when they were on the very clear edge. The fact that they, he popped it a little too late sort of set the game a little bit more in motion for Reservoir. They managed to get away. They managed to claim at least 2 kills. And now we're seeing Lucien flying ahead because he was down a little bit before, but not anymore. 2 kills, 90 CS. He is absolutely devastating. And just the frontal assault, just the combination they managed to throw out there, just the ulti coming out from Zoid, the double stun, Amumu coming in with those wraps, followed by the ulti to keep them in play. This is just glorious.
Indeed, but meanwhile, we might be looking at the top side as we are seeing Leon trying to do what he can. He is versus 2, but the Trinimir has to get out. It looks like he is going to burn down. The Soul is coming back in to try and get a little bit of vengeance against the jungler. 1 versus 2 now against SMC. The Nunu forced to get the hell away, and this Mordekaiser, I love seeing the Mordekaiser Ghost interactions. It's just everything you love in League of Legends.
Well, he's the king of clubs for a reason, and he's really showing how effective he can be for his team. He hasn't really had much help from Mumu. He's claimed his first blood for the game. He's got that soul up. He's trying to be as aggressive as possible. Look at him go. He's taking these players without it even being in vicinity. Meanwhile, Vicini is actually trying to be so aggressive. Sabertooth's already forced to face once again. This is just sort of like a hit and miss left, right, and center. Vega's being forced to sit backwards too much because of how aggressive Vicini is. Top lane is having trouble because Mordekaiser is just Mordekaiser. And bottom lane, with the help of both junglers, it is essentially just, it's a game of table tennis. The ball is in one person's court, bounces to the other, and it sort of comes down to, whoever dies first, sort of like, misses that ball and sort of turns the tide and gives that point over to their opponent. I'm ecstatic at these two teams. Like, we're only at 13 minutes, but we're already seeing a lot of action. The game is still very close between both teams. The major player, the MVP thus far, is Annie, though. Just look at her. 4 kills, 400 gold. She's winning in the CS count compared to Vega. It's going to be just like, an all-rounder match for her.
But what I would really like to see out of Vicini, actually might come to that in a little bit, as he may be in a little bit of trouble. Versus 2, but we have to remember Saboteur has very little mana. Saboteur is in kill range, but no! A 1-for-1 trade, but Vicini Pro is able to snag a kill anyway.
I gotta say, he does get that kill. Gives away the bounty, 400 gold. Oh, Prexy. What the heck is Lagatha doing down there? He's taxing himself even more. He's not able to get anything. He's going to just push mid lane. He's left Mordekaiser alone to possibly actually take away first turret for their team. 2 plates still alive, 10 seconds to go before plates fall down. Bottom lane, on the other hand, just so aggressive. It's not even funny looking at these two.
It's very aggressive on the bottom lane. Blood of the Rune King compared to the now stacking Manimoon. And top side, however, is dangerous now. Tryndamere was already struggling, and now Tryndamere has to deal with a Liandry's Torment Mordekaiser, as opposed to not even having a static Shiv in his back pocket, which is just not looking good. As Miles setting up now around the dragon, they should be able to secure themselves this objective, and it's only a Cloud Dragon, so I think maybe Reservoir High School can afford not to contest this, simply give up the objective for now and fight them at a later date.
I feel as though the only member that's really going to be in a pinch is that Vega. Just Vicini has already got enough gap close on him. She gets that Cloud Dragon. She's going to get that movement speed she needs to, sort of make it a little bit easier to charge into him. That is really going to sort of, help her out quite a big deal. And for her team, that's going to mean first turret for them as... Oh, Saboteur.
A 5-man stack in the middle lane will secure them the turret, and a good turret to crush down first of all. And I don't think that Reservoir High School were really realizing that all 5 members of St. Monica were actually going to end up in the middle lane.
I feel as though there was a little bit of a man missing. I saw Tryndamere still sitting top contesting against that Leon, preventing him from being able to get that first turret bonus. He's doing well to hold it off, but I wonder how long he can last for. I mean, Eatos, look at Pokemon. He's really trying to defend that turret. The Fox is unleashed. A bit of an eyebrow raiser. He's not able to defend as they claim their first turret as well now. I feel as though, like, when it comes to the turret game, they managed to get first turret, but Reservoir have taken bottom turret. They're very close to taking top turret. Mordekaiser's got that completed Liandry's, and Saboteur, what are you doing, friend?
Saboteur trying to contest the securing of the Rift Herald on the top side of the map, but they will be unable to get there in time, and now they're throwing themselves in. But the engage on the Leon's already taken him down pretty much. No! The turnaround, the shield coming out, and flashing up, give himself safe, and Absolute Zero will tear them apart. But looks like the Tryndamere trying to run for his life is not going to save him, taking out a double kill coming out for Prexy. Saboteur securing himself one as well, and that was a disaster. Fiziri wasn't able to execute Leon.
No, he managed to get enough health back to be able to pop that passive, continuously soak up whatever Vicini had to offer, took her away for first kill. Then we see another one taken. Then we see, I believe, Nunu go down in the middle of that fight. Vega pick up another kill, and they're finishing with that last big attack animation in flight towards Lagatha as he tries to flash away, get close to going over that terrain, but doesn't get away easily enough. As soon as we saw that best attack, it was over.
Oh, Baby Cage does connect onto the Kaiser. Flamingo taking a lot of damage. Pokemon, beautiful sidestepping, but not able to dodge everything. Forced to flash as Exhaust is dropped onto him, and backing away now for the middle lane. We are seeing Miles channel that snowball, but is he going to commit? The answer is yes, he is, but the Baby Cage coming out once again. Cosmic Radiance isn't going to buy time. No, it is not. Zordal fails to save his mid laner, and in fact, he may potentially go down trying to get a kill on the Flamingo, but not going to be enough. Gets cut down by the Acathian Rain.
You gotta give credit to Zoid though. He managed to survive long enough with his ulti still in check. He gets a stun on. He even forced left Flamingo to actually pop her heal. So the next fight, she's gonna be down that. You've also got Thresh who popped his flash. Now that's just gonna mean if they get caught out in another scenario, the only person that's realistically gonna be able to get away would be Flamingo because she still has that flash available in her kit. Meanwhile, looking on the other side of the spectrum, Harley's got both abilities still available. Zoid's got his flash. The Guardian is really proving effective when saving your team a bit of damage absorption, you know, to sort of give yourself that bit of freedom to try and deny that co-op de Gra being popped sooner. As we're now looking over towards top lane, Leon is really strong. He's really healthy. His turret is looking healthy. He's really winning this CS game in comparison to Trinimir, who's only got that completed static shiv. Like,
Trinimir's he's having a few issues in this laning phase. Let's not lie to ourselves here right now. But it is a really phase. You know, guys are in Trinimir struggling to find the trades that he wants onto them, but he may try find something in middle lane as we are seeing the charge in force. Saboteur force the flash out, but the countering keeps coming out of breaks. He has Curse of the Sad Mummy available. They're all within range if he chooses to use the ulti. Finally getting a lot of the CC down. Finally, the CC chain is finally there, and is it going to be enough? CC is unable to get the damage down. Multiple members of SMC are getting dropped. A beautiful double summon from Zodal will be all she wrote for the team fight, and Reservoir High School able to take a dominant fight.
All she wrote, the perfect summary to that one-sided fight. I gotta hand it to Prexy. He managed to survive so much damage, irregardless of how much he was CC'd. Like Annie, you've got Thresh. It was just absolutely phenomenal. And then he ultis. I was expecting the ulti to happen immediately. He delayed it just long enough for himself to actually pop it and get away from the team fight. He soaked up all the damage possible and enabled his team to come online. They actually pretty much managed to take away 4 members from SMC and push down at least 2 turrets, looking towards that third. So things are looking pretty good for Reservoir coming into the rest of this matchup. Like, Annie did well in the lane phase, but now it's looking like the opposite side of the spectrum is happening in favor of Reservoir, as they're now controlling the majority of this match. Like, top lane's pushing hard, bottom lane's pushing, mid lane you don't even have to really talk about, considering it just happened. We're seeing the Herald being popped by Nunu top lane, helping out Lagathar try and push a little bit more. I wonder if we're going to actually see him push quite a bit, or whether he's going to be denied a little bit soon. Dragging is getting close to spawning. Both teams are looking towards trying to take it away, as I believe it's going to be another the Mountain Dragon popping out.
Indeed, and St. Monica have themselves the set up, but my concern is that Reservoir have already proven that they can win the fight, and with their top laner, well, pushing top with a Rift Herald, I'm not sure if the contest is actually a potential there, but it looks like instead Reservoir backing away for now as, Saboteur, he gets one shot, which by a fad Annie that pretty much has a death cap in her back pocket. Are we really surprised that Annie's able to dish out just that much damage?
No, but I was expecting to survive a little bit longer.
No ulti!
The ulti's still available, the Undying Rage, he doesn't pop it. Just the culling the culling fully stacks on top of him. He absorbs every single bullet. What was he thinking? Like, he had the ulti available, he could have survived and give his team a bit more pressure.
Ooh, Fregsy, he's trying to force a fight, but the CC coming out, but it lands onto the Annie, and she will simply get run down, and Flamingo will simply be forced to watch his mid lane go down.
I guess she couldn't hop, skip, and jump away from that fight. I gotta say, that was a nice amount of stunts, and then Leon taking away that kill, just going right on top, popping that area of effect spell he has available in his kit. This is just getting worse by the minute. Like, Lucian is online, Amumu, Mordekaiser with that perfect KDA, 405. Like, this is looking sort of like a rinse and repeat from last game, except this time it's the blue team that actually have the majority of this game in their pocket. They have map control, they have map awareness. The vision game is strong between both sides that it's really hard to tell, and the only thing that sort of makes a difference between these two teams is the team fights we're seeing coming out. Like, so far, Reservoir have had the majority up front, Amumu and Mordekaiser being their upfront assault. Oh my god, Flamingo.
Oh my lord. Saboteur trying to do what he can. Flamingo, though, going very far forwards. Looks like he may be able to survive as Flamingo is blown up by Leon, who's now trying to save his mid laner. Is it going to be enough? Not killing him down. One more Q chomp will do it. However, Miles grabs a kill before falling himself. A double kill now for Leon as an engage coming out. Vincere has to get out of dodge, but can he is the real question. Flashes out and also grabs the lantern for safety, but that is a 2-for-1 trade at the end of the day.
Oh, that's not only just a 2-for-1 trade, they're going towards turret. Death sentence lands. Nothing else coming about from it, though, as they're forced to sit back. It's a 4v2 essentially because you got Mordekaiser with Left Flamingo's soul actually ripped out and used for their favor. They are really forced behind, but Trinimir, look at him go. On the minimap, he's actually pushing all the way towards their tier 2. Harley pushing him back, Pregsy now pushing top. There is a lot of pressure applied in the top half of the map. Like, you've got top and middle really going hard.
Indeed. So they're able to grab what they can. We are seeing a potential engage coming out of forced to back away for now. But I mentioned something at the start of the game. You asked about win conditions and the Tryndamere split push win condition. While his team is struggling, let's not lie, he is still doing what he can, pushing out the side lanes. And we see Pregsy a little bit too far forward for his own good, perhaps.
He is, but the rest of his team's, safely away in the middle of nowhere. They're near Baron Pit. You've got Lucian split pushing bottom. A pressure is heavily applied well past that tier 2 turret, like the average tier 2 turret. They're able to actually control the rest of the game. They have the freedom to move around everywhere and not worry about anybody from SMC catching him out. They know where every single member is, mainly because, like, look where the waves are pushing. They're past that tier 2. Mid lane has super minions running it down. Trinimir is trying to reset back to a midpoint, and top lane has got too much attention that SMC sort of like, need to split themselves out more evenly if they're able to sort of try and at least create a freedom of movement on the map. They're not able to leave their base without the possibility of getting caught. You've got Lucian sitting in their blue jungle. You've got Vega and Taric just running around freely. Actually, I think I'm seeing Lagarth actually get caught out now.
He may be getting caught out, but should be able to escape for now. But we're seeing a stack up on the bottom side of the map. The last outer tier 2 turret standing for St. Monica College on that bottom side. So it would be a little surprising if we didn't see Reservoir High School decide to make their way down to the bottom side, secure that last outer objective, because right now top lane is pushing in their favor. Middle lane with the super minions is naturally pushing in their favor. So one last outer tier turret, and I don't know if St. Monica can actually afford to defend it.
No, just, coming in 24 minutes and a half. We've got 3 members sitting bottom, actually 4 members sitting in the bottom side. It's a 4v4 matchup. Trinimir's pushing top. Vega's just reset himself, pushing it down mid. You've got super minions coming their way through. I feel as though the current condition that SMC need to try and, should try and strive for is catching out a member. Oh no.
Like this, however, they are able to lock down the Annie straight away. The Thresh is trying to get out of dodge, but I don't think it is going to be enough. No tankiness to survive. Harley gunning him down. No, Pokemon does actually live, but the turret is going to be forfeit.
I gotta say, Fassini getting caught out, and that was the biggest misstep ever. They should have been the opposite side of that, of that coin.
Oh my lord, the engaged flash coming out. Flamingo's gonna go down straight away. The Mordekaiser are ensuring that his soul becomes his. He's Shao Kahn at this point in the battlefield, as they are now continuing the dive onto the turret. The turret is not long for this one. The Nunu trying to buy time, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Cosmic Radiance coming out as well to make sure that everybody is topped up nice and healthy, and Reservoir High School Varrock is simply running a rampage in St. Monica's base. Eyes are now on the Nexus turrets themselves. One goes down. The Annie is trying to do what she can, but she needs to be so careful. You walk out of position, you're just going to get cut down by the members that are standing before you, and the second Nexus turret is now in a lot of danger. Members finally focusing up and down. The Nexus is now exposed, and Reservoir High School, after a very dominant game, very dominant early game, I should say, is in every position to take the game. Week 10 goes to them.
Yes. With that is an absolute astounding victory. Just they managed to let mid lane push on its own. They let the super minions enter base. They managed to clear away Fassini. Fassini getting caught out and going down within the last couple of minutes was probably what sort of, secured the game in Reservoir's pocket. They managed to push the turret. They managed to catch out Left Flamingo, get an easy kill, push the inhibitor. And since mid lane was already in their base charging for those last few turrets, that was an absolute, ruffle stomping game. I've got to say, I got to hand it to Reservoir. They did so well to plan themselves out evenly. They managed to apply pressure where possible. Trinimir was forced to sort of split push a majority of the game. He was absent from everywhere. He did not contribute to any kill participation at all. Just looking at his score, he's doing relatively okay for his team and the CS count. But when you look at his KDA, he's 0-5-0. He's got the Wits End as well as Static Shift, which can do well to split push. but he hasn't really made any major contributions for his team. Vicini, the highlight of SMC, got to hand it to him. He did well early game in lane phase. He helped them claim their first turret, but after that, when we saw a Mumu and Mordekaiser come online for their team, it was essentially the game-ending scenario. They had the game in their pocket from a majority part. After first turret went down, they managed to turn it well in their favor. What are your thoughts about the summary of this before we go and pick our MVPs of today's game?
I mean, middle lane for St. Monica did really, really well. So he was able to do a really good laning phase, but unfortunately couldn't carry the rest of his team. They were just falling apart on the map, the top side in particular. You touched on it, the Mordekaiser into the Tryndamere. Tryndamere just had a really rough time, 0-5 and 0, and I don't really want to beat too much of a dead horse. So it was just... Their mid lanes went well for St. Monica, but unfortunately one winning lane in Season 9 is not enough to be able to carry a game.
No. And for the MVP of today's game, I feel as though it's a very close nick between Pregsy and Leon. I have to mention Pregsy, or should I say, I guess you could say he is a definite second place and a highlight to behold. Him engaging in those team fights really set the motion for his team. He managed to soak up so much damage, take on so much CC that, Fasigny and Thresh had to offer, as well as the biggest snowball effort coming out from Miles. But I'm definitely going to have to say that the MVP of the entire saga tonight would have to be Leon, just based on his team play. He did well to push top without a Mumu coming up there. He managed to help clean away the turret. He managed to apply a good amount of pressure. And then when it came to team fights, he essentially cleaned up, as if it was just the biggest mess in the world. It was no trouble for him. He had the biggest vacuum available to just, clean up the kills left, right, and center. I mean, for starters, he ended off on a perfect KDA.
Leon stamping his authority in this game of Reservoir High School versus St. Monica College, guys. But that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us throughout both games that took place today. And we're hoping to see everybody in Week 11 of Meta. So thank you very much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next week.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They weigh me down.